Hello and welcome. As you may have noticed, in recent weeks I have been experimenting a lot with the type of content I post on my channel and the way in which it is recorded. Well, having tried out my current schedule for the last 6 weeks or so, I have come to the conclusion that although I enjoy making this type of content, it takes a lot more time to make than I expected and has left me no time to make and experiment with more long form projects, which aside from regular weekly content was one of my goals. So before we get into the ReconCast topic, there will be some housekeeping to discuss, so please bear with me. What follows is the new schedule and explanation of what content I will be going forward with from here onwards to leave me time to try out some different more long form projects. So up first, the ReconCast is a regular topic based podcast show featuring myself and one if not both of my sisters, Louise and Vanessa, and within which we are going to discuss all sorts of things from games, movies, TV, popular culture to the sort of silly stuff you might talk about with your mates, like zombies or time travel and such shenanigans. This will now usually be recorded once a month and split up into 3 topics and a compilation. So 4 separate videos that will be posted the same day once a week throughout each month. The next type of videos will be almost quiz type videos. For example, the first season will be individual would you rather quiz topics based on a similar theme to our podcast, and will also have a similar schedule with 4 videos being recorded a month and posted usually each week. I say usually as if you do the math, then 4 vids a month equals 48 videos a year, so not technically 1 a week, and thus 4 times a year there will be a weekly break from the usual schedule. The gaming news recap videos I post on Saturdays will be for the most part staying the same, and I will also be doing several full playthroughs from start to finish of certain games throughout the year, and of course the odd playthrough of new games when they come out, and also sometimes there will be top 10 or rant videos, but they will be recorded as and when I can find the time, and hopefully someday some sort of long form fanfiction-esque videos. So that's pretty much everything covered. If that sounds like your sort of thing, then watch this space. Anywho, without any further ado, let's do it to it. Topic 1. What games were you looking forward to that disappointed you the most and ended up being nothing like you'd hoped them to be? So, I mean, I'll start if people want. I've got a couple of ideas of recent times. I mean, there's probably a bunch that I can't think of, like, as of this moment. Like, because way back when, you know, memory's not what it used to be. But in recent times, I would say first up, Final Fantasy 13. That
I've
game
got that
for
on
me,
my list.
yeah, is such, like, it was such a letdown for me. Not that it was good in certain ways.
It was
as
not
good as other
bad,
ways.
but
Like,
it was not
the battle,
what it said on the tin.
yeah, it's not what I expected or hoped it to be. And then we go into the realms of expectations again, though, whether, you know, you set your expectations too high. But it had good things, like the battle system was good, the graphics were good, the story was like wishy-washy, but it was okay. But the major problem for me was just how it was just completely on rails. And about halfway through, I just got fucking bored of it. It was like I was just, you know,
you literally had to get something crazy like 30 odd hours in before you got a bit of freedom.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that I heard about. It's like people saying like, oh, you have to wait, you know, when you get cleared this certain section 30 or 40 hours in, the game gets good. Okay, you shouldn't have to wait 30 or 40 hours for a game to get good. Okay, if it's more bad than it is good, then it's not a good game. Do you know what I'm saying?
When you did also get down to, I forget the names, the proper planet, because you're on a satellite in it, aren't you? But when you get down to the proper planet,
something.
The what?
Is it the Lassie or something? What is that?
No, that's the name of the creatures.
Oh, right, okay.
Or like a Lassie is someone that's got a quest from like a summon monster.
Yeah.
I forget the name. Anyway, the Earth part of it. When you do get there, you get a little freedom, which is good. But also, they made another mistake and they tried to drag it out and make it longer, which is the sub-quests you get from these statues. You can't take more than one at once. So you're
Yeah.
back and forth, and I don't know if they've done that purposely to try and make it last longer, but it would be way more convenient to have been able to take at least 3 at once and multitask them.
I mean, for me, it's just like you know, it's so on rails. I mean, to be fair, you could say, oh, I like Final Fantasy X, yeah, and that is very much on rails up until you get to Carmans. But it's different. There's something about that, like, it's a sign of the times to a point, to a degree.
It could be as simple as just the level layouts, though, because
yeah,
in 10, you have an area to explore.
Yeah, they were
in 11,
on rails to a
walking
degree,
along
but
paths. They're thin,
yeah,
you didn't have a large area to check out, and, it didn't feel the same in 10. But
it did feel literally like you were running up a road in 13, whereas in 10 it was like, here's a little dungeon. Go explore this little dungeon, come through
work
it.
out some
Maybe
puzzles.
there's a couple of secrets. Yeah, there's some puzzles. The story of 10 is good as well. Like, I would say better than 13. I mean, the voice acting is fucking terrible, but again, sign of the times. But yeah, for me, like, I was having fun, even though it was quite linear 10. I was a little bit disappointed at the time of how linear it is, because for me, that's not what, a core Final Fantasy game is. It's not linear. You should be able to go about and, be open world to some sort of degree. But I was having fun all the way through, whereas 13, I was just bored to tears, and about, I don't know, 60% through, I'd left it for a couple of weeks, and then by the time I come back, it's that whole thing of leaving a game. Everything was gibberish, and I just didn't give it. I just didn't care enough to push through. So I just left it. I just abandoned it. But yeah, so that's one that really disappointed me.
I kind of prided myself on all the Final Fantasies of just doing everything, doing every side quest. But 13, I just completed, and that was it.
Yeah, well, you got a lot further than I did, and it put me off the rest of the franchise. I've not really messed around with any of the others. I mean, Lightning Returns.
That said,
that might be one to pick up one day.
The two later parts of 13 are quite good. 13 Part 2, the mechanics are excellent. It's very good, although the story's not the best.
If I haven't beaten 13 though, because I have no interest of going back, will I be lost in the story if I just went straight to, say, Part 2 or Lightning Returns?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I'd do Part 2 first. You may be lost on Lightning Returns
worth it, though,
if you don't take it. Excellent.
I still heard that's not that great.
I really enjoyed it, and I liked 13 Part 3 as well, Lightning Returns. It's weird, but once you get the hang of it, it's very good. The first one was the down point of that set, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it put me on a whole tangent, because personally I wasn't super in love with 12. I know a lot of people liked it, but I felt like it was too reactionary to MMOs and the sort. I mean, it wasn't a bad game. There was a couple of standout moments, like I really liked that Fran character, and is it Balthazar? He was alright as well. He was pretty cool. Yeah. And the game, like Final Fantasy, there's always good parts to it, but
that was
the
11,
battle system
I think.
again.
12 was online. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, 11's online. 11's online.
Okay, then 12. Yeah, in my opinion, that's where it all started to go wrong.
Yeah.
That's the game that started the downward slide.
People like that, and it did have its qualities, but again, I wasn't blown away by that game. And then we got 13, and I was literally just bored to tears with that one. So, But yeah, that's one for me. I thought that was a good one and one worth talking about. The next one is Destiny, and then this might come into expectations and stuff. Maybe I expected too much from it, but I'd heard things about that game for a long time, and it's not that it isn't a bad game. Excuse me, just burping. It's not that it wasn't a bad game, and it isn't a bad game per se. It's just, it's not what I hoped it would be. I hoped it would be this sort of game changer, that it would have some.
There was a whole lot of hype about it that it never lived up to. It's part of my own fault for being on the hype train so much, but it's like I was expecting some sort of major innovation, and I thought maybe it would come from this whole, online, offline sort of, persistent world thing, like people in your game, people not in your game, emerge between multiplayer and single player, and how all this could pan out, and the story that was non-existent year one, and
all them sorts of things, and
Well,
that's not.
you got the idea that you could run into other people all the time, but the most people I've ever seen in like one area in one server that I'm on is about 4. It's not.
Yeah, maybe like 6 or something tops.
Yeah,
But
top.
it's the thing is, once you've waved to someone a couple of times or done some sort of stupid dance, it's like, yeah, the novelty's worn off. There's nothing to it. You could easily replace that with scripted NPCs and it not have made too much of a difference to you.
No,
not
you wouldn't
bothered
have
you
missed
that
it.
much.
How often did you play it and then meet someone and carry on a quest with them? Because I can say that it's a pretty much never. Once
almost
or twice
never.
Ever.
The only thing that I ever really did with other people was public events.
Yeah.
And that was like a 2-minute thing, and then you go your separate ways.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't really get that much from it. And so basically, also that game had just so many problems year one. It's like I've said before in previous, previous episodes. It would have been a much better game if I'd have come to it a month or two after the Taken King, once they've patched everything, and fixed all their level progression and their light progression and all that sort of shit, and balanced all the weapons, all that sort of stuff. It would have been a much better game to have played through and not had to, like, in the early games, the grind was real. Like, it was fucking real. I'm not saying it's not now, but, like, there was, like, seriously, you'd hit a roadblock,
didn't we?
You'd hit a roadblock. I played through all of year one. Once you hit a roadblock, like, that was it. You would literally have to grind for, like, 20 hours just to literally gain a level or something stupid. You know what I mean? Just to max up your your light levels and your levels and everything. And you'd be like toiling with like fucking blues and just like fucking looking up on the internet all ways to get a
praying
fucking legendary
for the purple engrams.
Yeah, and it was a grind, and you'd end up spending hours at loot caves just shooting, bored to tears, just shooting stuff while you're listening to like podcasts or music or something. That's what I'd end up doing. But yeah, so there's two that I think you feel the same with me on both of them ones, Lou. So
I'll go with that. What's Vanessa got?
Yeah, you got any ideas?
Yeah. Now I'm not sure whether people are going to hang me for this, but I was a latecomer to playing Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
I'd heard so much hype about it. There was loads of people that were like, yeah, you've got to go try it. And I just couldn't get into it whatsoever. I don't know whether it was just a bit slow or whether it took a bit long to get in or what, but I was so gutted. Like, I was so pumped up for this game. It was that whole expectation thing again, ain't it?
Yeah.
Everyone had been telling me how so good.
Is it the one where you're a detective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've not. Sorry, Karen.
It's alright. It's alright, but it's just, I presume it was the expectation thing that, I thought it was just going to be this awesome game from the set out, but it wasn't, and I just had to, like, chuck in the towel, so to speak.
It's so easy to hype. It's so easy to hype these things up in your mind, and it's always going to be better in your mind. That game is kind of almost like a Telltale game, isn't it? Like an early prototype of like a Telltale game in that sort of respect, in the way that you do things. You don't play it, do you? It's like quick time events and choices like that. Like, I've not played it. I've watched playthroughs of it and things, and it appears to me like really janky in certain places, but overall the story's quite engaging. I've not watched like full playthroughs all the way through. I've watched like a couple of playthroughs here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story is quite engaging, and it's definitely, again, it's like an innovation for its time. It was like, almost like a core Telltale game, like a more grown-up Telltale game, but a prototype of that genre. So there was sketchy elements to it, and it's like I've said to you before, it's a Marmite game. It appears to me. I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, Heavy Rain's all right." I've either heard people say, "I really don't like it," or "I really love it." But you always also hear people say it's a sign of the times. So
yeah, I mean, if the opportunity came up, then I'd quite happily give it a go again. I mean, there's been plenty of stuff that, like, Lou, you've lent me and stuff, and you've said, no, I'm not taking it back, you've got to give it another go.
Sometimes
and I've loved it.
With something, you end up loving it.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
But not very often.
No, of course, but yeah, I wasn't impressed. I was quite.
It's like we've said before.
Hurt.
It's like, you know, back in the day, you'd force yourself through things because that's the only game you're going to have for X amount of weeks, months, whatever.
That's
Yeah.
it. You never had enough money to buy another one.
So
you thought it out carefully.
Exactly. So you persevere through with these sorts of things, and then you would have a much more balanced reason as to why you did or didn't like something. Whereas these days, there's so many other options and distractions. It's like so much easier to.
I've become such a princess with games. If I don't like them in the first hour, slam it. I don't care. Go trade it in. Get something
I wouldn't
else.
say the first hour, but yeah, I'd agree with the princess thing. I'm such a princess with games too. So.
That's a lot of ways.
But yeah, like I think it's the same sort of thing. It's like a couple of hours. It's like I was saying with The Last of Us last week or whatever. You know, now that I played it a little bit more, and Louise share played with me, and I started to enjoy it a bit more. I started to get into it like a bit more. I'm still not blown away with it, but I'm engaged with it more. I want to, you know, I said I was going to play through and beat it, and it's the same sort of thing. It's like I've forced myself to persevere through it, so I'm getting more out of it. I think by the end of it, I'm probably going to have enjoyed my experience. Again, I don't think I'm going to be blown away, but I think because I persevered through, I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I'm going to get something out of it. So I think
I'm satisfied that you did it.
A similar sort of thing with that aspect. So, but yeah, have you got any ideas, Lou? You said you jotted a few down, or have we come to the same conclusion?
I said 2 of the same ones that you did.
Yeah, I thought we might have some crossover there.
There's a couple of others I'd mention. Hitman Absolution made me cry.
Which one's that? It literally.
Is that the right one? No, well, inside, deep inside. It's not the current one. It's the one before.
The one before, yeah.
I think it's called Absolution.
Yeah.
That made me so sad.
Yeah, my memory of Hitman's just disappeared after Blood Money. Which one's Blood Money?
The third.
Yeah. Is this the 4th one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they changed it so that you were moving through areas rather than the classic sandbox. You're in an area, you have to work out what you want to do. That was the fun part for me. So now you've got that on a very much smaller scale, just inside like a building or something. How are you going to get through it?
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
It took it away, and you felt rushed. You didn't feel like you could take your time on it. Or, I mean, how I played the old ones, the first time I played a level, I wouldn't do anything. I'd just go and poke about everywhere and see what I could come up with.
You would spend almost like an hour just wrecking, you know, doing reconnaissance, wouldn't you? You'd spend an hour just scooting about everywhere.
And I loved that. That was fun.
Yeah.
What outfits could take you to what areas?
Yeah, like you do a
weird
save.
Items are lying around.
You do a save and then try something out like poison a food or try a set of clothes and see how that happened. You know whether you could get through a certain area or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not like that. It pushes you from one area to the next, and then there's areas in between where you're just trying to get past cops and things. It's not the same. There were little tastes of it, but I gave it up about 2/3 through. I just stopped caring.
Yeah. I feel the same to a degree. I kind of like after I was saying after Blood Money, I wasn't as engaged with Hitman. I'm interested in when the collector's edition of this new one comes out, which seems like the gameplay's in the right place from what I can tell.
It does look right, but then again, I don't want it spoon-fed to me. I don't want chapters. I'll buy it when it's complete.
So
but I think they've gone back to their roots for the gameplay at least.
So I'll check out the definitive edition maybe. You know, if I've got enough pennies at the time or there's not too many games, you know, confusing me, I'll check it out when the definitive edition comes.
I'm not prepared to give up on it yet. Every franchise is allowed a dud here and there.
Oh yeah, it happens to every franchise.
But hopefully they're back on track. The only thing I hate is the the chapters coming out.
Well, they're going to learn from it one way or another. If it's financially good for them, that's the future of Hitman. If it's not, then they're going to revert to type. So.
Well,
it's the same as when
until they're all out.
It's the same as when like you've got like a a boss movie or whatever, and then they try and bring out a sequel, and then they try and bring out another one. And do you know what I mean? Like they just try so hard to kind of like better it that they actually.
Games are a little bit different with that respect, as sequels are can quite often be better than films, whereas better than the original game. Whereas with films, the sequels are almost never better. You know, it's very rare that the sequels are better.
Is it? Yeah, the odd exception,
but with games, it's you know, sequels like often tend to be better. Not always.
Yeah.
But you know.
But it's like often. It's a game that was left for quite a while, weren't it?
Yeah.
And then they've tried to kind of. Oh, all right then. It's all right. Okay. How about when? How many remakes do you know of films that are good?
Yeah, not many.
0.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's certain circumstances, but they're only good after a long period of time's passed. Like, and it's usually more their spiritual successors, not direct successors. Like things like I Am Legend was based on something like Omega Man, and I think it's called Omega Man, something like that. I Am Omega or something fucking weird. And you see that film, it's like a 70s sort of, you know, or like there's this, you know, it's almost like a blaxploitation film or something. It's not, it's a bit cheesy. It's not the greatest film ever, you know, so, or like a B movie. But then, but with something I Am Legend, then it suddenly gets, you know, revamped and it can be better. But that's what I'm saying. I think it needs a massive massive space in between to do that. So, but yeah. Anywho, I think. Oh, have you got another?
Not really. The other one was just a small thing, really. It's not exactly a disappointment because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's GTA 5. I can't complete it. I've tried it twice. I've got halfway through, and somehow my attention's wandered twice.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it at the beginning, but for some reason I can't complete that game.
I haven't completed that game either. That's a similar sort of thing with me.
Something happens around the midway point that just makes me get bored.
I think what happened for me was all the money started to become a thing, and I stopped playing it for a while to look up how to maximize my profits on the stock market and everything. And then I sort of left it for a few days, and then, like, you know, because I was just checking research and stuff, because I didn't want to get too far ahead and then not make bank, because there's really good ways to make shit tons of money. And then other things popped up, life got involved, maybe other games, and it just dropped off, and I just didn't get back into it. So
so I wouldn't call it a disappointment. It's good.
No,
but
it is good.
There's something wrong with the pacing.
Yeah.
Middle to kind of 3/4 through.
You're engaged. Well, at least for me,
interest.
The engagement sort of dropped off. It's not that it was bad. It's like for me, it's a better game than GTA 4, which I beat. So. But
I've completed a lot of the others, but yeah, I don't know. Not a disappointment, but a question mark. I
think that thing where you can switch between characters is a bit of a gimmick. What they should have done is grown a pair of balls and just made Trevor the main character. That's what they should have done, because he's.
I tell you what.
He's the most interesting.
Speaking of Trevor, I don't know if you've been following Walking Dead, but did you see Trevor in The Walking Dead?
I'm not all caught up, but I heard literally today actually that Trevor was in The Walking Dead. So.
Don't tell me anything about the last episode.
I'm not going to. But as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And he looks the same and acts the same. Well, almost the same.
I've seen him
I don't know about
not real
his
life,
tendencies.
Yeah,
but, it was brilliant. I enjoyed it.
I've seen him in some Corridor Digital videos, and he looked just like these. Well, not just like, because that's very unflattering. Let's say a handsome version of what Trevor really looks like, you know. So, but yeah, it's pretty cute. Anywho, I think we've covered that topic succinctly. I can't say that word, succinctly. Whatever the fucking word is, we've covered that topic
successfully.
Yeah, that'll do. Let's move on to the next topic. Topic 2. What are your thoughts about conspiracy theories like the moon landings never happening or JFK being assassinated by the CIA, for example? Is there something to it, or is it mostly bullshit? So, is there any card-carrying members of the Tin Hat Brigade?
I used to think that these conspiracy things were like fucking bullshit, but like I've had a little bit of an eye opener by a couple of people about a couple of things that have made me maybe be a bit more questionable. Like, I don't know if this fits into the same like category. For a start, Michael Jackson. His death into. Have you not heard? He's alive. He's alive and kicking.
Oh, is he?
He's alive and
like
moonwalking.
Elvis.
Yeah, but no,
there's some
like
interesting
footage.
videos that make you wonder.
Proper, like, not even, oh yeah, maybe, but blah blah blah. Like, what? Like, he walked out of the back of an ambulance and stuff, and they think he was in the crowd of his funeral, and
Dressed as a woman.
Dressed as a woman, but it just like obviously
in like a really dramatic hat and veil.
Yeah, and then like they point out to the person in the crowd and they have a laugh, and the family seemed really uplifting. And obviously, like, I'm shit at explaining it, but when you go onto YouTube and you watch these videos, it's like all the explanations, all this, that, then here, and it's like, wow,
There
maybe he
are
is really
like
sat on an island with Tupac.
There would be like illegal. You know, he would have broke the law. Like, there are coroner's reports and stuff. They would have had to have been fraudulent. So
yeah, I know. What, like, he's Michael Jackson, but he was bankrupt, and he was. Yeah, he's like.
He's not the king of the world.
Yeah,
like, I know he's the king of pop, but not literally like the king of government.
But
can't
like, if he had some crazy
easily.
fan, that was like, you know, happened to be a coroner. Who knows?
Maybe.
But,
I mean, it'd be more likely he bribed them, but.
But yeah, like, he was in loads of trouble. He was in like debt, and like, well, he was bankrupt, wasn't he? But he pretty much had nothing to lose.
He was financially not in great shapes. The thing that was keeping him going is he owned the royalties to like the Beatles and shit. So that's what kept his estate going.
They've already predicted the future in South Park on that one. The episode with Mr. Jefferson.
I don't know if I've seen it.
I vaguely remember.
Mr. Jefferson. He moves to South Park, Colorado.
We know where to look for him then. And the other one was the Illuminati, like being responsible for oh god, what's it? He's running for president.
Trump.
Yeah. There's an episode of The Simpsons years and years and years ago where Donald Trump runs for president, and he comes down these stairs, or like, I think it's like an escalator or whatever. He comes down these stairs and he's got 2 security guards right at the top. He's wearing this like specific suit. He waves like he does, blah blah blah. But on the balcony, like slightly behind him and stuff, there's a fan, and she's got a board. And she drops the board. She's wearing these like beige pants or something. I think it's a she anyway. Anyway, so this is in a Simpson thing, and then like obviously he's campaigning and stuff. There's a video of him promote like doing a campaign, and that exact scene happens. Like, to the T, the fan drops the thing. They've got the bodyguards at the top. Like, it was my friend Robin who like showed it out to me and stuff, and I was like,
why would they orchestrate that though?
I don't know, but his point was to say that everything's like being controlled, like nothing just. Oh, God,
well, that would have to be more like a way of predicting or seeing the future, because for things to fall as they were, like, you know, like why would the Illuminati, you know, set those events happening if they know that it'd already been in, like, it's almost like a warning, like a message to someone. Why would they want to warn us that they're doing
it's the Illuminati, they can do what the fuck they want. But that's the point. It could be a message to someone. It could be you know, a subliminal message to us. It could be something that they've tried acting out to cause chaos or whatever. I don't know if like the Illuminati.
Why would they break the fourth wall or whatever it is and show us what they're up to?
Aren't they? So how can we know how they think?
Oh, who knows? They've got all sorts of weird. There's that bizarre jock shock fella who's got all these crazy tinfoil hat fucking theories and shit. Like, did you know, I think as of like last night, which will give away when we recorded this, because it's probably, by the time this goes up, it's probably like 2 weeks ago or something, but I'm pretty sure he got the Republican nomination, so it's going to be him versus either Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. Probably Hillary Clinton.
Oh dear, that doesn't look good though.
No. To be fair, I don't see him winning. Like, in the polls, he's got a lot of people who really like him, but he's like the most hated candidate ever, I think. So
Donald Trump.
He's a little
You know.
crazy. He's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. But basically, it's bizarre. It's like what his competition should have gone with is a vote for Trump is a vote for Hillary, because it probably will be. It's like you can't say for certain because you can't predict the future unless you're the Simpsons apparently. But but you know, fucking, it's most likely gonna put Hillary Clinton in the White House, most likely. So.
Oh, I don't know. I don't understand it. Like, you know, give me credit. I'm a noob to this whole conspiracy thing, but it was just weird. Why? How? Even if it isn't the Illuminati, even if it isn't some weird conspiracy theory, like, I don't know. Why would that happen? How would that happen? Who would make that happen? And, you know, what are the probabilities that that would happen? Just
it's more likely that it's
I get what you're saying. But
campaign trick that they've seen The Simpsons
could be.
and set a plan in the audience to do that very thing, to draw attention.
Subliminal messaging that, like, hey, you know, he's the president in The Simpsons. Maybe in your mind you think, oh, maybe he could be a presidential candidate. Maybe it's weird.
About, that's what's trying to control a nation or whatever.
Subconscious, though, isn't it? Not
everybody knows about politics, but everybody knows about the goddamn Simpsons.
Yeah.
I guess so.
But I personally, I think things like that. I mean, the Illuminati. It's not an impossible thing. Like, I'm an open-minded person to a degree. I probably think myself as like an open-minded, not critic. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
I've got a few words.
What's the word? The opposite to not cynical.
Yeah.
Ah, come on. What is it? Like Mulder's the believer, Scully's the. What's the word I'm looking for? What? Skeptic, that's it. Yeah, I'm an open-minded skeptic. Just
skeptic.
I had a brain fart. It just ran away from me. Yeah, septic. Yeah, like I think things like that are a bit too part of the tin. I joke with the tinfoil hat thing, but it's maybe a bit mean to a degree. But I'm open-minded. Here's my thought: is 99% of it, or maybe even 99.9% of conspiracy theories, is probably bullshit, because there's just so many of them. The odds that they're all correct, and there'd be so many contradictory like fucking theories and shit that they could all be correct. Like I sometimes like I watched a couple of this guy's videos, and they've constantly popped up in my feed on YouTube. I think he's like Secure Team or something, and every once in a while there's something I think, oh, maybe you're onto something there. But because he posts like 3 or maybe 4 videos a week, it's like you really starting to scrape the barrels. Like there's a couple of rocks on the moon in a funny position. He's like, oh look, it's a Nazi base or something. It's like, you know, you can't find a new Nazi base every week.
Nazis on the moon.
Yeah, there is one. Iron Sky, I think it's called, or something. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. It's like you can't.
The future, clearly.
Yeah, it's like The Simpsons. Maybe there was a writer on it or something.
Hey, it's not my conspiracy, okay?
But you know, sure, there is some really. He comes up with some really good videos that, like, even me, like, I think, oh, you might be onto something. But there's just so many. It's like it's the shotgun approach.
Desensitizes.
Yeah, and so there is some things, you know. I believe in some conspiracy theories, but I'm incredibly selective about them. And I think it's like 99% of them, or 99.9% of them, are bullshit, or you know, just trying to exaggerate something, see something that's not there. But that 1%, or even that 0.1%, there's gold dust there, and you know, that's kind of the problem with the shotgun approaches. You should probably be more selective as the ones that you're willing to die on that hill, metaphorically, you know, and push with them. Like, I'm open-minded that the moon landings didn't happen in 1969. I think that's the date. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. But I'm not open to the theory that we've never landed on the moon, because I think that's bullshit. There are mirrors up there you can aim lasers at if you've got a powerful enough laser, and gauge the measurement between the moon and the Earth. And I'm pretty sure you can. Even if you've got strong enough telescopes, you can see like lunar vehicles on there and stuff, like the lunar lander, or like, you know, spacecraft and shit. So I think we've been up there, but I'm completely open-minded to the fact that we weren't there in 1969, but we made it look like, you know, the West was there by you know, so as to beat the Soviets in the space race, because it's like
I've heard that suggested.
It's a national pride thing, as opposed to we're incapable of getting up there, or you know, aliens won't let us, or whatever the theories are. So I'm open-minded to theories, but like I said, optimistic skepticism. So
it always makes me laugh about America and NASA and everything, and how they spent millions trying to make the ballpoint pen that would write in zero gravity. and the Russians just took a pencil.
Yeah, just took a pencil. Because it just works, you know. That's the
There's something
Russian
to be said for that.
Yeah, there is. It's like, well, think about it. Because the space shuttle's not a thing yet, and they're waiting for like SpaceX or private companies to fill the gap. What are the Americans doing to get on the International Space Station? Going to fucking Russia. I mean, their shit's big and cumbersome, and you know, probably costs a lot. But guess what? It just fucking works. You know.
Sometimes not having all the money in the world motivates you more.
It's like it's kind of their national sense in the way. You take the AK-47; it's the most prolific gun around the world. Assault rifle, and that's because it's not fancy, but it works. It does the job. So it's that sort of national mentality. But yeah, so I'm open-minded to conspiracy theories. Are there any particular ones either of you two like, or you can see something behind? You got any other ideas?
I don't know. All you hear lately is the crazy ones. Illuminati again, and lizard people. But there's loads of videos on YouTube about how celebrities are being controlled by them.
Yeah.
And, loads of videos with the when they blink, they've got the freaky lizard eyes.
I've seen some, but they're always there's never any solid evidence. They're always through really bad camera. Why is it the guy who's filming on a fucking potato phone? Why is it his camera footage that gets through? Why is it not someone with 4K or fucking, at least a high bitrate 1080p or something? It's it's always the shit ones. And I'm not the Illuminati thing could be a thing to some degree, but I would think it's more a secret, Black Ops version of the American government or something, a government that's not.
There always have been groups like that in history.
But I think to be all the celebrities are in on it, as if what benefit would they do having Katy Perry be in on it, and they're lizard people? It's just nonsense. Why lizard people? Why not robot people with nanites in them or something? Or if I had advanced technology, why wouldn't I just fucking make a clone human and just download my fucking consciousness into its body, and it looks exactly the same. Lizard people, it's like that film V where they just sort of peel back their skin and there's a lizard in there. It's come on.
All the lizard people are going to be laughing at you with their forked tongues out.
Oh, they could be. They'll be Moha, this idiot has fallen into my plan. That's exactly what I wanted you to think.
I've seen a conspiracy video that suggests that all these really crazy theories about the Illuminati and lizard people were made by them to make it sound mad, to make it sound crazy, so that it draws attention away from them.
It's the same thing I'm saying about this guy. It's he might seem on these channels, he might seem like he's white knighting for the conspiracy theorists, but what if he's employed by fucking whoever, the CIA or whatever, the Illuminati, to put out so much shit, like a shotgun approach, that so much of it's bullshit, even if there's nuggets of truth in there.
Look at this, but don't look at this.
It's if you flood the market with so much stuff to
people
view,
go, oh, nonsense.
Oh, I've seen all this, and it becomes
He's
normal.
on the payroll.
It's the same with After Effects, so many of these videos now, if someone had shown one of these videos in the 80s or mid-90s or something, people would be like, what the fuck? That's real, because the graphics, the VFX software wasn't up to scratch. But some of these videos that I see sometimes, I could fucking do better graphics than they can. I could do a better fake than they could. And I'm not very proficient on After Effects, so it's you flood the market, and then maybe you're helping the very people that you claim that are fucking, you know, doing all these things.
That
know,
you're
so
against, yeah.
It's like, you know, just a bit ridiculous. So I'm open-minded to it. Like you were saying the other week, I want to believe to a degree, because I want to believe that there is still magic and the unknown in the world, and I think there is. And I think there is that 1%, like I was saying, or that 0.1%. But it's so hard to find now in the piles and piles of bullshit and people trying to make, you know, a video go viral because they put After Effects on it and made it look like there was an angel running through the streets, or a fucking alien lizard man, or UFO or whatever.
Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Chupacabras.
Like, there could be something to that. Maybe it's like something got out, or maybe the government worked on a thing. You know, I am open-minded to them to a degree, but the whole Chupacabra thing, I think it's probably there is something that went on there. There's something that we don't know about, but the odds that it's some sort of multi-dimensional dinosaur is probably unlikely. You know,
Chupacabra's not a dinosaur.
Well, I've heard a million theories. Like, there's some sort of dimensional portal, like the Bermuda Triangle, or, you know, whatever, and they're things from this alternate dimension. You know, there's a million theories. So.
Yeah, I've heard
if you go back into history, though, when we don't understand something, we make it into something
exactly. I think that's the point. Is scientists poo-poo a lot of these things and like, oh, that's just silly like me earlier saying, oh, it's the tinfoil hat brigade. But that's no reason not to research these things, because just because you don't understand it yet doesn't mean that there's not real science there, that there's not a real explanation, that's not just like, you know, someone in a crop field with fucking a plank of wood. You know, there are there are instances where you know, this stuff's real. Have you done that?
I wasn't the only one there.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, just for fun. Just for kicks, to see if we could.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out that good. I think we needed measuring tape and stuff.
Yeah, there's specific techniques and stuff, but the ones I've seen is just like some dude with like a plank of wood and a string attached.
A crop oblong. Yeah. It wasn't exactly a circle.
I bet the farmer fucking loved you, didn't he, when he went to get his fucking crops in.
Wow. It's a long time ago. I'm older and wiser.
Back in my youth.
But, you know, it's
a little bit cray-cray, but I think, like, I agree with you, because at the end of the day...
No smoke without fire.
Exactly. I find it more impossible to think that every single conspiracy theory is false.
There's no truth.
Every single one that has ever been, you know, fucking publicised or has been said in the year, you know, in the time of man, that every single one's, like, you know, wrong, and it's just made up.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Things like even things like ghosts and stuff. I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts or whatever.
Oh, whatever.
I know our mum's into them. I don't know to what a degree. I'm skeptical but open-minded. But here's the thing: I don't think that means that, like I was saying earlier, scientists shouldn't research this stuff. They should, because in that 99%, they just need to find the one that is real. Because one of these things, I guarantee you, one of these fucking conspiracy theories is real. It's just finding that one. That's where the search should be. People, you know, deciding which ones are bullshit and which ones are real.
I'm kind of happy for them not to, because, you know, what if they do find that number one and it is actually that lizard people are real, or like something really creepy?
Well, we need to know, because the rebellion needs to start. You know.
If there were lizard people,
they're not doing that much harm.
It depends.
How do you know?
They're secret. I would need to know. They would, like, why are you hiding? Come fucking tell me what you are. I mean, there might be legitimate reasons to hide, but to the same degree, if I'm a slave and I don't know it, you know, I'd probably, you know, be open to a rebellion. Because, you know, if there's a good reason and I'm not a slave, and, you know, maybe I'm open to hear your point of view, but if you've been hiding
to anyone.
If you've been hiding for X amount of years.
I've known you stay in bed for 24 hours before.
Oh, I've stayed in, I tell you what.
I wouldn't class you as a slave.
I stayed awake one time for like 3 days or something, and I slept for, I'm not lying, 36 hours roughly. Roughly 36 hours, give or take half an hour or something, or 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In one go.
Yeah, I wouldn't class you as a slave.
No.
Maybe programmed.
But you know, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, a slave's a slave. Even if things are going all right for some people, I wouldn't be super stoked with it. You know. But yeah, I think for the most part, what I'm going to say is 99% of them in my mind are bullshit. 1% is the gold dust. Let's find that 1%. Let's eliminate all the bullshit and get to the.
I'm cool. I'm quite happy with not
stuff.
knowing that there's lizard people. I'd rather be ignorant than know that there's like. It just reminds me of fucking Futurama. Like there's an underworld, like an underground world or whatever, full of like mutated beings and shit. I'm quite happily.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorant.
I believe in that to a degree, but you know, in the same hand, it's like, you know, you need to. How are you going to know whether you're willing to sit in ignorance is bliss? You know, like if things like poverty and like people dying unnecessarily can be stopped, and other, you know, these Illuminati or lizard people have the power to stop this, or they're inciting wars and stuff. You can't let that shit going on. I don't want to be a puppet on a string, you know.
But that's not what's going to happen. If there really is lizard people, then you know for a fact that, like, the fucking governments or whatever, they're going to do tests and shit on them and, like...
No, the point is they are the government.
They are the government.
So you have to start a rebellion. That's the way it works.
Shit,
a resistance.
Told you I was a
having the same brainwave there.
Are you a noob or are you a lizard person? Hmm?
Maybe
Infiltrated our family? Hmm?
Who knows?
I'm on to you, B.
Maybe I wasn't really found in the cabbage patch after all.
Well, maybe it was like an
Hey,
egg.
don't even. That's not okay to publicise that. Okay.
She's not really.
No.
She's not a potato though. She's an egg person. Huh? We thought he was a potato. Really an egg. Huh?
Excuse me.
Hatched out of the egg's a lizard person.
Out of an egg.
Hmm?
Like,
As a lizard person.
I'm on to you.
Part lizard, part potato, part egg.
I didn't sign up for this, yeah, to get all my fucking childhood like bullyings like aired on million of people to fucking listen to.
Well,
no, thank you.
It's now that we've discovered that you're a lizard person, it doesn't matter. So you know,
I'm going to be watching you real close now.
Yeah. Well, piss off.
All right, let's
come and slither into your room.
If she is a lizard person, I think the human race is fairly safe.
Yeah, to be fair.
Fuck you! Maybe that's what I want you to believe. Maybe that's what I want you to believe.
Could be.
False sense of security.
So, anyway, now that we've discovered this game-breaking thing, let's see what a lizard person thinks about the next topic. So, world exclusive. Lizard person thinks this about video games. In the next episode, stay tuned. Topic 3. Video game sequels or intellectual properties that aren't to our knowledge in the works, but you wish were under development. So it could be like a game that never existed, for example, and you know, like was being prototyped and never come out, or a sequel, or whatever, something like that. So,
I've got one.
Okay, go for it.
Bomberman. I want a Bomberman game that I can play on the PlayStation and it'd be just as legendary as it was before.
Yeah, Bomberman's a great game. I think there's probably like mobile versions or Wii versions
not the same.
Appeared and stuff.
But not the same.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's very much these days a downloadable title. It's not, you know, going to be a retail.
It wouldn't be a series. Yeah, it wouldn't be like a series or anything.
As, like one of these downloadables though.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to
if they
cost
kept
40 quid, could cost 20 quid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they kept it cheap, you could make it cheaper than that, 15 quid or something, and just have it stages and multiplayer. You know,
it'd be fun if it could have online play. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. See, like, I don't understand why they've not gone it. Like, Bomberman was awesome. It was really annoying because I used to always get picked on, but but yeah, it was amazing. It was wicked. It was so much fun, like just to piss about, I guess. Yeah,
it's a great game. There has been things recently, but like you're saying, there hasn't been like you know, like a major release of it soon. I think, like, you know, they'd struggle with, you know, making a massive story out of it and stuff. But there's unique ways they could do that. There are cool, interesting things. If they don't take themselves too seriously, you know. I'm not saying go Goat Simulator, but, you know, if they make it like you know, like cheesy fun and like a weird little campaign that's not too crazy. Because to be fair, the campaign's just sort of like, yeah, you'll play that when there's no one about, but what's really important is the multiplayer. Yeah, it's like even online multiplayer with randoms would be fun. Bomberman, wouldn't it? So, you know,
yeah, that'd be wicked.
If you had it couch co-op and online multiplayer, that, you know, focus on the multiplayer section, I think that would be a cool game to bring back or whatever, breathe life into. I'll tell you something that annoys me a bit. Looking on the PlayStation Store, I know it takes time and development and cost and all that bullshit, but there's just not enough like classics on the PlayStation Store, and it's like, I think they're squirreling them all away for PlayStation Now, so you get a subscription there. But I'm not really interested in PlayStation Now, but I would pay for like PS2 games.
There's the odd game on there I like, but there's never enough to justify me getting it. And to buy a single game is really expensive in comparison to what the whole thing costs.
To rent a single game, it's like you might play it, but you'd only really get the rental for a month or whatever, specifically for one game. You'd probably be like, oh, I really want to play that game, so I'll rent it for that month. But then it's like you're on the clock. You know, I don't know about, like, well, I do know about you guys. I've got shit to do sometimes. I can't just fucking, you know, like, I want to play things.
To playing something.
Yeah, it's like, what if, you know, 2 weeks pops up and I'm busy those 2 weeks, and then I've got to rush through in like the last week or something. So I don't want to be on the clock.
Against it. I think they should make all those titles to buy as well. It's about time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is though, it's different. They can't do it like that.
Something that I can't keep either.
Because they need to be ported if you buy them, because otherwise you're constantly streaming them off the service, and then I don't know how that would pan out financially. Whether at some point it's going to cost, you're going to lose money. Do you know what I'm saying? If someone streams this one game, they buy it for a one-time payment and then stream it for 2 years, you know, you're going to lose money. So
they could also be using that as a testing space, though. Which is most popular? What are people playing? Let's jam that one on PlayStation Network to buy.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it's an interesting thing. It is the future to a degree, because there's rumours about the NX being, like, part of it being a streaming service, so you stream all the games, and the streaming service not only being available to this NX, but classic Nintendo games being streamable to PlayStation and Xbox and Steam. So, I mean, there are rumours galore. We're never going to know what that fucking thing is until, like, January or something. But
it's sort of good, but you're always going to be paying top dollar for that. There's no chance of going down the game store and just picking up a bargain. I don't like it so much. It forces you. They can control the prices then. I
think the prices will come down to some degree because they don't have to be in shops and retail and stuff. But then things like trade-ins are gone.
So many things on PlayStation Store are way more expensive when the prices have dropped down to 20 quid and they're still at top dollar.
That is true, but I think we for some reason we've got some sort of proportionate price schemes on PlayStation Now, not PlayStation Now, on the PlayStation Store and on Xbox as well. For some reason in the UK, it costs us like £15 more or $20 more compared to what it is in the US, and the reasons for this was like tax reasons I heard, or network infrastructure and stuff like that. First of all, network infrastructure, I pay for PS Plus. I don't need to be paying for no more network infrastructure. I'm paying for more than enough. And for the other thing is the tax reasons. I have Steam. Okay, Steam has to follow by the exact same rules, and I can buy Far Cry 3 18 months after release for £4, because that's what I did. So what's your excuse there? Do you know what I mean? So I don't buy into all that shit, but my thoughts are, when it does go fully digital, when physical copies aren't a thing, the prices will drop and come more into line with what they are in the US, because I think it's bullshit. I don't think it is a tax reason. I think it's just they're milking us because they can get away with it for now. But there will come a point when they can't. Anyway, we got off a bit off topic there.
Straying off topic.
Yeah. My one is, I've only thought of one off the top of my head, is Onimusha. And I've gone about it a lot all the fucking time because I really want it and nobody's making it. Well, there might be, but you know.
Me too.
I really I crave that game. Like I tried that Neo out in the hopes that it would be like Onimusha. It's not. I hoped it would be Onimusha with a little bit of Dark Souls and maybe a bit of, you know, whatever else thrown in. It's essentially Dark Souls with an Onimusha skin, and if anything, it's harder than Dark Souls. Like, I'm not an expert on Dark Souls to any degree. I've barely played it, but yeah, from what I can tell, it's Dark Souls, and it's probably even harder than Dark Souls. So, and it's complicated. There was no real tutorial. It was sort of like throwing you in at the deep end. There's these souls scattered throughout the world map, and they have like mini tutorial things in it, like it give you little tips like, oh, such and such, you know, this is your stamina bar, whatever. The problem with that is you usually find that information after you've figured out that thing by yourself, because it's usually behind a barrier of whatever that thing is, you know, you were supposed to learn. You probably had to learn it before that point to get past that point, you know, to get to the thing. So it's just, it's stupid. I mean, those things are only really left around for idiots who didn't get and who looked their way through a certain section. It's like, but yeah. So anyway, the point is, it's not the game. I hoped it to be. I'm sure Dark Souls fans will love it, and that's fine. It's for them. That's cool. But yeah, like I gag for a fucking Onimusha. I'd like also, we talked about this again previously, a J Cocoon would be cool. And even, in fact, another one just came to me, Shadow Hearts. We talked about that before.
You're picking all the ones off my list.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop talking. If you talk
Dang
about
it.
You talk about Shadow Hearts or whatever you've got. Go on then.
Shadow Hearts 1 was amazing. It was spooky. I've said it before.
Yeah.
The later ones, not so much. They weren't so good. But if they could get back to their really creepy roots, its lore was a little bit almost along the lines of Silent Hill. It was really sinister.
Yeah.
And I could get into that. I'd like another Shadow Hearts, definitely.
I'd say in a way it's almost they've got like that Neo or Dark Souls almost lore, sort of similar sort of thing. Like there's some creepy sort of undertow, but it's not necessarily important for a lot of the game. But
it's just backstory, but it fleshes out the universe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a similar sort of feel. They're both made in Japan, so maybe it's like a cultural thing. So,
I think a lot of it does base on like their mythology.
I'm just waiting for a developer to realise that there's a niche on consoles and Steam for a turn-based RPG that's of AAA or near AAA quality, of that near that level. There's a niche,
they're still out there, but there's only the like heavily Japanese ones.
Yeah, only really in Japan.
They're too cute. I'm not looking for that. I want a realistic one.
My hopes are, after how Bravely Default is done really well, and perhaps secondly Default to a degree, is that some developer somewhere is going to realise that and make a fucking solid turn-based RPG for, you know, a core console. I mean, 3DS is great, but I don't really game on 3DS, you know.
I do play with the DS still quite a lot, but it doesn't feel the same. You're not getting into it. I'll play it for an hour somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's that. It's not a game I'm getting into.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure it's the platform for it.
It's not comfortable in the same way to play it for long periods of time.
There's a niche,
although they do still bring them out
there,
there, and it's nice that I can have a taste of that, it's not the same.
Yeah. It's like, please, somebody fucking make a game. If you make a Western but RPG style, but with, you know, with like a Western skin that's translatable to a Western audience that can get into it, you're onto a fucking winner there. And the only one that I can think of that's probably close to that is going to be Persona 5, which is coming up. But that again's very Japanesey, very cutesy. I'm not sure I can buy into all that. It's about, there's like, I'm not sure I can relate to some Japanese 15-year-old girl who, I don't know, has got like a fucking teddy bear that's sentient or something. I don't know much about Persona, to be fair, and I know that's a big deal for some people, but it just feels like, oh, I don't know if I could get into that. But I want that turn-based thing, you know. I yearn for that. But and there's a market. There is a market. One day someone will realise there's a market, and they'll make bank, and then everybody will be like, oh yeah, that turn-based RPG thing, yeah. Or maybe we'll make a game for that, you know.
It's something I miss, is a game that I can just play chilled out. that I don't have to button bash. I can just sit and be calm and like think things out, not be in a rush. It's a lovely way to play, and everything now is so intense all the time. It doesn't need to be.
It's all action, action, action. They're all trying to chase this action money. Whereas, like, you know, those old school games, even ones that are a bit creepy and a bit dark, like Shadow Hearts, do you Final Fantasies and whatever, they wash over you. You don't play them as much as, like, I'm not going to say live them, but, you know, you feel them, like, wash over you. It's like you're on a beach and slowly the fucking waves are coming in. You just let it all fucking, you know, get up all up in there. And, you know, and it's like you're saying, it's like relaxing to a degree, and, you know,
it's almost like watching a movie or something like that.
But it's engagement. You feel like you're in that world. It's kind of like a VR experience, probably to a degree, but more like a metaphorical VR experience, if you will. You know, you're in that world. So I mean, I think we repeat our ground on this to quite a lot of degree, but it's probably because they're the games that come to mind. I bet there's a cajillion others. I mean, one that probably will happen coming forward is another BioShock. I'm interested to see what they'll do with that. BioShock Infinite, I'm a bit, I like, it was okay. It was a good game all the way through. The ending for me, even though it was maybe a little bit obvious to some sort of degree, it kind of blew my mind. I got like, I got that awe, that wonder that sometimes games can do. Like, you know, the last half an hour of BioShock was like full of wonder, and that for me was worth playing just for the ending. I mean, it was good all the way through, but the ending, even if it was perhaps a little bit obvious and a bit cliche, for me, I think the ending was the payoff. But I have a feeling they'll go back to more their roots of a BioShock 1, which I've not beaten. It's one of my games I've got to get back to. I've probably got maybe 40% through or something. I've got to get back to it. I keep starting it, and then something else pops up, and, you know.
I love the first two. The third one was decent. I didn't like the sky rails. I could have done without them.
Yeah, they became a little
bit.
But
apart from that,
confusing and gimmicky, didn't they? So. But the world of it, the lore and the characters and the art style, all that sort of stuff. The world of it's always amazing. And I think if they go back more to their roots, I think the problem they're going to have is, where do we go from there? We've been under the sea, which was a curveball and was smart. We've been in the sky in like fucking up balloons, like, you know, that dude ties all his balloons in that film. Space is just going to be too obvious, and so many other games have tread that thing. My thought was this. I thought about this. What about a space station? Again, space. So, but what about a space station that's on the edge of a black hole? So it's not in the event horizon getting sucked in, but it's on the edge of a event horizon. So maybe it's like orbiting a black hole, and maybe like things like time, and, you know, they could throw in time mechanics because of maybe the whole game's about it slowly starting to fall within the event horizon where nothing can get back, not even light. So maybe that would be a great position, because then you can make things weird, and it doesn't have to just be a space station. Maybe it's a space station orbiting a planet, orbiting a black hole. So you can throw in, so you could maybe go to the planet, you could maybe go to a moon, you could maybe go to an asteroid, a spaceship. So it opens up the world a little bit and can throw in different mechanics. And maybe they're harnessing some sort of, you know, dark energy or whatever from the black hole, and then they use that as their what are they called? I always forget, because they use different ones, but they're like their salts and their magic powers. You know how they can.
Adam and Eve.
Yeah, all their fucking, you know, magic shit.
Juju.
So they could explain that away with, you know, they harness it from the black hole and stuff. So, I mean, that's
I think they could even
pretty awesome, to be honest.
I think they could even look at go more prequel, because the technology in it is weird, and they could start to mention how that came about, how they put the big daddies in the suits. Maybe a research lab before it all.
The thing is,
with
it's
the
like
beginning of it just coming to play.
They can do the Star Trek thing where, because you beat the ending of BioShock, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, BioShock 3. Infinite.
Yeah. Spoilers.
There's not going to be major spoilers. I'll just try and keep it kind of vague. But there's basically a massive parallel dimension theme at the end of the Bioshock Infinite. So they can do the whole Star Trek thing like they did in the movie, and they can just go to a different dimension where maybe that technology happened earlier. You know, maybe it happened literally in the American Revolution, or do you get what I'm saying? Or the War of Independence, or you know, that maybe they could, because they sort of had similar sort of themes with that in Infinite, didn't they?
They've always had like a kind of 50s theme, haven't they?
But in a parallel dimension, there's no reason to say why technology isn't more advanced in that parallel dimension than it was in the other two, or you know, in Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite. You know, because they're different realities. So,
well, I think that's what's suggested, isn't it? That the under the sea place and the sky place were two different versions of reality.
Yeah, Rapture and Columbia are very similar. We're walking into spoiler territory here, so we should stop going down that road. But yeah.
But there's nothing to say there couldn't then be a third option along with all of that, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
There's potentially infinite. That's how the parallel dimension theory goes. I forget what it's called, but you get the gist anyway. So. But yeah, I think that's cool. Jade Cocoon as well. That's one that I'm pretty sure is never going to happen. But a man can dream. You know. Anyway, I think we covered a lot there. Treading over similar territories we've treaded before, but you know, good stuff still. Though they're the things I really hope for. You know,
we'll all have our favourites.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to be careful to stop reiterating that sort of stuff going forward. But make me a fucking Onimusha, and then I'll stop.
And I'll stop talking about it.
I'll stop bitching about it. Or a fucking turn-based RPG. One of the two, I'm good. I'm good to go. I'll shut up for like a couple of years and maybe my voice will break because it went a bit funny then. But anyway. Wow, that's this month's ReconCast done and dusted. I hope you enjoyed our shenanigans and tomfoolery. And don't forget to join in with our nonsense by posting your ideas for future topics in the comments. And as well as a name check, your topic could feature in an upcoming episode. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.